rolling. We're rolling. So harmonies. What do I think of harmonies? Harmonies are so complex. It's a complex thing because it must serve two purposes.
Okay.
I believe harmony should give the song an emotion,
Okay.
you know, or a color. Let me rather say that harmony needs to give a song a certain color, but at the same time, it needs to accompany the melody. So it's like it's the star of the show, but it needs to be in the background as well. It needs to know when to take center stage and when, you know. So with the idea of harmony, it's very easy to get to a place where you, what I think I'll call over arrange,
Okay.
right? And over arranging is like, mm, for me, you know, when something gets too intense for a long time, or something is a bit more or too monotonous for a long time, or um, when it just constantly feels like I'm moving and I'm never arriving. I'm never getting to a place where it's like, okay, this is home. Um, that is a lot of what causes a bit of discomfort when listening to songs from a vocal arranging point of view. So it's so important that it can either make or break
Yeah.
an arrangement. I think vocal, the harmonies, what you surround the melody with, is so important. And how dynamic you make it is another thing. So with dynamics, it can either be a thing of like how someone sings it. You know, are we putting what we call a crescendo? A crescendo. Are we crescendoing into it, or are we decrescendoing? Or so basically, are we putting volume into this part? Are we, or whatever kind of thing. So there's that part of the dynamic of
Yeah.
it, but then there's also the actual chords that can also play as sort of dynamics in
Okay.
some way.
Yeah.
Because when we do something from a vocal arrangement, like if we're going ba ba da ba, so that is a certain kind of dynamic that's making the song different from if we're just going ooh ba ba da da ooh whatever. So it makes the song move in a certain way, but somehow you need to keep that in a sweet spot so that it doesn't overshadow what's actually going on in the melody of the song. So with over arranging, it's just that place where you're in a place where you kind of do a bit too much and then it kind of overshadows what is going on with the arrangement or with the melody, sorry. And if someone is singing the melody on top of what we're doing with the harmonies that have been done, it's like it feels like it's fighting or it's clashing. And that's just a classic case of maybe a bit of over arranging, or maybe the harmonies just don't work well with the arrangement, or with the what the melody, sorry, what the melody is doing in the arrangement. So I've always thought of putting together harmonies as like laying a bed in some sort. Is it called laying or making up, whatever? But it's ish. Wendlula man. Wendlula man is nesindebele. Like, once you're putting like the different layers of each thing, so there needs to be something that's at the bottom. So depending on how you make your bed, ne? If you want there to be the soft blanket, that's what is going to touch you. And then you put something else. Or sometimes in when it's too cold, maybe you won't put the duvet at the bottom because the duvet is maybe not as warm as the blanket or whatever the case is. And so that's how you really need to look at the idea of putting together or layering harmonies together, because they all need to work together with the arrangement, and with what the melody is, what the melody is doing in the arrangement. So I spoke about melody being king. So if melody is king, then the harmony is queen. And now for people who are like familiar with chess, think of the queen and what it can do on a chessboard, right? The queen, or what the queen's purpose is on a chessboard. I mean, I'm not a chess as not I'm not a chess expert. Man. Hey, English. I'm not a chess expert, but I feel like the queen is there to protect the king, because once your king is exposed, then it's checkmate, right? And the king is melody. The melody is the king of the song. But now, the queen, which is the harmony, needs to make sure that it covers the melody and never leaves it exposed in any way. So not to say that at any point maybe like the melody shouldn't go alone in an arrangement or whatever, but whatever the harmonies do, it must be there to complement the melody. And yes, they can go and do whatever, the harmonies can go and do whatever it pleases, but if it goes too far from the king, like in the chessboard, if it goes too far from the king, it leaves the king exposed, then it's checkmate. So in as much as it can go horizontally, vertically, to the side, whatever, but the whole purpose of you moving the queen would be for it to serve its purpose, which is to keep the king safe. So in this case, if melody is king, then the harmony should be queen. And that whatever approach you use needs to protect the melody at all costs. It needs to protect the melody at all costs. Once your harmonies start swallowing the melody or start taking us away from what we're supposed to feel from the melody. Because it's another thing in applying harmonies, because there are different ways to do it. You could do it depending on how many parts you have. The other day we spoke about triads, we spoke about just different approaches with intervals, right? Interval, which is basically the space in between notes. That's what an interval is. So you can use thirds, fourths, fifths, 11ths, 13ths. Yeah? As jazz vocals, 13ths and 9ths there. But all those things should be things that just come in to embellish the melody. That's why even even in a church setting, I would say, because that's where it comes out the most, in a church setting. And there's always going to be that person who comes out and does a solo on a random day, like, I feel like singing today, and they do that. And when they start singing, and there's just a guy who's on the keys, and they just, either they know the song, whatever, that performance can just move from a regular day at church and someone doing a solo, and that feeling like, oh wow, this person actually gave us something that moved us or whatever. And a lot of that is created with the ambience that's set around that melody and whatnot. So it's very important to select however we approach it, And there are a lot of techniques to do it, There are a lot of things that you can always fall back to, that maybe people don't think about a lot. Especially, let's say, if looking at a lot of close harmony arrangers, right? Maybe they got 6, 7, 8 people in a group or whatever. It's not necessary that a song needs to be in 6-part the whole way. I think I don't know if I've spoken about that before, but it's not necessary that the song needs to move in 6-part the whole way. I like a technique that I call the tension and release. Okay. Tension and release. where in an arrangement we can have a period in that song or whatever where there's a lot of intense chord movements and whatever, but then it always hits differently when at some point in that phrase it just releases and it's just like, oh, okay, then it went there, you know. And there are a lot of techniques of how to do that. Octaves, unison, you know, just breaking into different things at different times that give it a different effect, you know. And the more you learn and understand how to play around with those things, then you know how to play around with the emotion of the arrangement. So if I'm trying to get people to feel triumphant about something, I know what kind of sound or chords or style to approach that with. So if it's something that must be, say, have a big sound, then I can say, okay, fine, maybe we all do it in unison. And then it comes out in, you know, comes out in a certain way. Also with the dynamic of how it's done, you know. If something needs to be somber, you can also achieve that in a certain way with the chords and all that. So there are a lot of things to think about instead of just thinking about how complex the harmonies are. I always think the simpler the better. The simpler the better. And sometimes you can be simple within your complexity in some way, you know. And one of the ways to hack rather to actually do that is to just make sure that your melody is strong, and the chords that you're hitting are protecting the melody. Then it doesn't matter how complex the movements are. But the thing that we're hearing is, oh, okay, this sounds beautiful. A classic example of this is Hark the Herald by Take Six and Just Six. When it gets to the second verse, geez, what does it say in English? I know it in the Zulu. I know it in the Zulu. Lonke Zulu litumisa. What a beautiful melody, and that's what it is. But the things that are happening, just that phrase, ooh, it's like, what's going on? But because that melody is so strong, and Dr. Said had protected it so much with what he put around it, it just feels like, ooh, the song just went into a different place. But the melody still. What? It's insane. So just little things like that. I think, you know, it's okay to be adventurous, man. But like, just keep it here. Just keep it here. Trust me. You'll thank me later. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Just keep it here. So yeah, harmonies are special. Harmonies are there to do nothing else than protect the melody. Nothing else. Yep. So if melody is king, harmonies are the queen. And you know the queen, man, you must treat it nice. You must treat the queen nice. You know, the queen gets nice things. And you will be protected from criticisms of horrible arrangements. But I mean, it's really nothing too hectic. But yeah, harmony. Keep the harmony in a place where it just protects the melody. That's it. Peace out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Please subscribe to the channel. The boy loves you. Thank you so much. My name is Nkosi Hospice and I am a vocal arranger. And this is the Journal of a Vocal Arrangement. It has arranger. The Journal of a Vocal Arranger. Peace out, God.